Hi there, this is Unmesh from PiXimperfect, and let me ask you a question. If you had a million presets or LUTs to color grade your photo, how would you proceed? Well, just like Netflix, we might just end up killing our time browsing through the presets and never ending up with one, right? Because if I give you an image, how many ways do you think are there to color grade it? Infinite. Now, when you have infinite possibilities, how do you decide which direction to go? Now, we have talked about color grading generators before, right? For instance, the Infinite Color panel by my great friend Pratik, which creates intricate and advanced color grading automatically. Do check out that video, it's a great program. Besides, there's also a built-in feature in Photoshop that makes you randomly generate gradients, and you can use that to apply various grading styles as well. And there's a video on that too, you can check out that video right here as well. But what if you could get access to an entire color grading gallery which color grades your image in every way possible in advance and shows you all at once on how your image is going to look if you go that route? Wouldn't that be awesome? That is where the Infinite Looks panel kicks in. Let me show you how it works. So here we have a brilliant dramatic image and we want to add a punch of color to it. So all we have to do after you install the panel, you have to go to Window, Extensions, and then Visualizer. It is the same as the Infinite Texture panel which we covered in a previous video. You can open both of them in the same panel. So here you have Looks and Textures if you get the Textures panel. Alright, so we are in the Looks tab. Now all you have to do is to refresh the image to load the current image. Now it gives you a lot of options. So make sure once you load the image, the color and the contrast are at the very top. It shows you all the random directions in which you can go, and you can select any one of these that you like. So let's say I like the middle one and we want to see colors similar to that. So all we have to do is to decrease the color slider. This is the randomness slider. So as you decrease the randomness, more and more similar colors are going to show up. So I'm going to decrease it all the way to the bottom so that very similar colors show up. Now you can choose whatever you like. So I like this one. And all you have to do now is to click on plus. If you also want to see similar contrast levels, you can also decrease the contrast. So it's going to show you only similar color and similar contrast levels. All right. So I'm going to hit plus. So it's going to add the lookup right there. And there you go. Here's the before. Here's the after. Instant color grading. Now we don't want so much of it, so we're going to decrease the opacity. 78 feels nice. On top of that, we can add a curves adjustment layer if you want to. You can add anything you want. So click on the adjustment layer icon and let's choose curves, and we want to make the dark areas darker. So we will take the slider on the left to the right, just a bit. Now what if we want to load another LUT on top of it? So we're going to go back to the visualizer, extensions, visualizer. You can load it up in the side as well. And then we want to look at the image, load the image as we see in the canvas right now. And for that, you need to click on Refresh Image. Now let's take both these sliders up so that we can see the colors going in all directions. Let's say we want to get a purplish look in the shadows. So I'm going to go with this one. Now we want similar colors. So decrease the randomness of the color. So similar colors are going to show up. So even in this case, I like the middle one. So absolutely similar colors is what we are looking for. I think this will give it a very nice punch. So let's click on that and then simply click on the plus button. Now it's added. Now, of course, this is too much. So we're going to decrease the opacity, slowly and gradually increase it to the point where we like it. In my opinion, let's keep it at about 40%. Let's take a look at the before and after. So here's the before. Here's the after. Such quick color grading. So there you go. Looks like a simple and straightforward plugin, pun intended, but is it really worth including in our retouching workflow? Let's find out. Back in the magical world of Photoshop, and let's start with our second example. And by the way, every example that you're going to be seeing in this tutorial, you will be able to download the finished PSD for each and every one of them. Let's start the visualizer. You can load it at the side as well. Let me show that to you again. Go to Window, Extensions, and Visualizer. We can just stick it right in here. Just once it begins to show the blue highlight, drop it. It will be loaded right there. Now let's talk about refreshing the image. Once you click on that and click on a refresh image, it's going to load the image as a whole, not the existing layer from top to bottom as we learned before. So just to show you an example, even if we add a black and white adjustment layer by clicking on the adjustment layer icon and then choosing black and white. Even if we do that, and now this is a black and white, and if we open the visualizer again and we click on refresh image, even when we have the background layer selected, right? If we click on refresh image, the black and white version would be loaded and that version would be color graded in different ways. So refresh image is a great button to look at the whole image at once, not just on one particular layer, because that can confuse stuff and then you have to select the topmost layer. You don't have to do any of that. Just click on refresh image and you're good to go. Let's take away the black and white. That was just to show you how it works. Click on refresh image again. And now let's understand how the randomness works right there. If you take both the sliders all the way to the right, whatever color grading is in the middle, everything else is completely random in terms of both color and contrast. You can also call these sliders similarity slider. The lower the slider is, the more the similarity. The higher the slider is, the lesser the similarity, or more the randomness. This panel uses advanced algorithms to show you different ways you can color grade your image, and then based upon your similarity preferences, suggests you similar color grading styles. So let's say we like something bluish. So we're going to select that one, and now we want to see color grading of similar colors. So we're going to decrease the randomness of color. The more we take it down, the more similar the color grading is going to be in reference to the middle one. So right now you can also see some green ones as well. There are similar colors. You can take it even further and even all the way down. Now very similar colors are going to show up. So let's say among all these, I like this one. Now color grading similar to this color is going to show up. You see how it works? Using this panel, you can narrow down what we want, because sometimes we just don't know what we want unless we see it done. If you don't like the colors which are around it, you can always reshuffle. You like the middle one. You want to see similar colors, but you don't like the ones around it. You can always shuffle by click on reshuffle. Still don't like it? Try reshuffling again. It's going to show you some variations with contrast and stuff. So let's say now I want to go with something with a darker purple color, this one, and click on plus. Now it's added. There you go. Here's the before, here's the after. Let's say you only wanted to add it in the shadows, no problem at all. Double click on the right hand side of the layer. Take it away from the bright areas by taking the slider of the underlying layer from right to left. Hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the slider to break it apart. Take it all the way apart to make the transition smoother. There you go. Here's the before, here's the after. Now you want to analyze this and go forward from here. So you click on it again and click on refresh image. And now we can again increase the color randomness. And let's say we want this one for the highlights. So let's click on that one. Now I feel this one looks better. I really love the contrast on this one. So I want something of similar contrast levels. So we are going to decrease the contrast this time instead of color. You can also decrease the color if you want. So similar contrast levels. You can also get similar colors by decreasing the color as well, but not so much because we want some randomness in color. So in this case, I feel I want this for the highlights and a little bit of this one as well. So first of all, let's go ahead and add this one and select this one as well and add this one too. Both of them are now added. Now what we want to do, first of all, let's only apply this in the highlights by double clicking on the right hand side of the layer. Take it away from the shadows by taking the slider of the underlying layer from left to right. Hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the slider to break it apart, take it all the way apart. Now this is only on the highlights. That warmth, really cool, isn't it? On top of that, this one looks fine, but it's too much. Decrease the opacity, slowly and gradually apply it to about 35%, and there you go. Here's the before, here's the after. Interesting color grading. Now one of the great advantages of color grading with adjustment layers is that you can use blend modes with it. So if we choose one of these and try changing the blend mode to something like soft light for more contrast, or overlay for even more contrast, once we choose that, look how much more dramatic it looks. Now with these on, there has been opacity set, there has been blend mode set. What if I want to try different LUTs with the same layer properties applied? So let's open that. All we have to do is to click on the replace button, this one. If you click on replace, that LUT will be replaced, but all the layer properties will be intact. Have a look, overlay, opacity, both are intact. Let me bring it to the side. Let me take the visualizer to the right so that you can see what's happening. So let's say we want to try this one, all right? And all we have to do is to click on replace. Have a look, that is replaced. You might not be able to see that because the opacity is too low. So let's increase the opacity to 100 so that you can see the difference. We don't want to keep opacity that high. Let's say we want to try this one. And if we click on replace, that LUT is now replaced. Take a look at the change. See, the layer properties will be intact. And that's the idea, my friend, behind replace. Now here's the great thing. Even though we have applied changes through the visualizer, we can still go back by pressing Ctrl or Command Z. So let's say I like this version. So we're going to stop right there. And there you go. Interesting color grading, isn't it? Now, in the previous example, we didn't mind too much getting the skin too colored. But in this example, let's say you want to avoid the skin tones, and apply a general color grading with minimal effect on the skin. So here's how to do it. You can do it just within the visualizer. So once we open the visualizer, it will have the previous image. So let's click on refresh image to refresh that. Now it gives you different options. So let's first of all increase the randomness both of color and contrast and choose which direction you want to go. If you don't like it, you can always reshuffle it. It's going to give you some different random suggestions. So let's go with this brown tone. Let's click on that. And we want similar colors. So let's decrease it, but different contrast levels. Wow, this is brilliant, isn't it? We totally love that. But have a look at the skin. It creates an adverse effect on the skin. So how do we prevent that? All you have to do is simply increase preserve skin tones. There are 3 settings. Off, which completely disregards the skin. Medium, it takes the color grading away from the skin with medium intensity. And there is max. It takes the color grading away from the skin with the highest intensity. Now there's a catch that we need to keep in mind. It will remove the color grading from every area which has colors similar to the skin tone. So if the background, let's say, has something very similar to the skin tone, it will remove the color grading from that area as well. So keep that in mind. And anyway, if the background has lots of materials which are very similar to skin tones, we can always mask out the skin tones manually by keeping it completely off. But in this case, medium works just fine. Now, as soon as you set it to that settings, have a look at the skin. It's not affected much, right? If we keep it off, look, the skin is getting all kinds of color. But once we set to medium, the skin is lesser affected. If we set it to max, the skin is least affected. So let's keep it medium. I like the middle one. Let's go with it. Click on plus. It's added. Full intensity looks amazing. You can always decrease the intensity if you want to. So let's go with something like 65. Now let's open the visualizer again. Click on refresh image. Keep in mind, preserve skin tones is already set to medium. Once you open another image or work in another project, don't forget to reset that. Now let's say we want a more yellow tone. Let's go right there and let's decrease the color. And this time we want to completely preserve the skin tones. Let's increase it all the way to the max. And now let's go with this one. Once you settle on something, click plus. It's added. Here's the before, here's the after. I guess it's a little too much, so let's decrease and slowly and gradually increase it to the point where you like it. In this case, I feel like about 45 or 50 would look great. So you can see how easily you can preserve the skin tones and still color grade from inside the visualizer. Now, if your subject is wearing clothes with the color very similar to skin tones, or if the background has colors similar to skin tones, we might have to manually mask it out. Let's have a look at the first example that we did. Let's say you want to take away the heat from the skin. You might have to group all of these layers, Ctrl or Command G, click on the mask button, take the brush, and with black as the foreground color, take it away from the skin. Make sure the flow and opacity are at 100. Simply take it away from the skin. I know it's too much. Don't worry about it right now. Just take it away. There you go. You can do the hands carefully. I'm going to do it very quickly right here. See, too much warmth in the hands. It goes too red. Now all we have to do is to decrease the intensity of the mask. And there's an easy way to do that. With the mask selected, open up the properties or simply go to window and then properties. Decrease the density. It's like an opacity for the mask. If the density is at 0, it just acts like there was no mask, just like opacity. You slowly and gradually increase it to the point where you feel comfortable. So for me, I feel like 40% looks good. Takes away so much heat from the skin tones. And there you have it. Sometimes you might have to manually take the color grading away from the skin. One of the good features of the visualizer is that it acts as a combination of both the infinite looks panel and the infinite texture panel. So you can combine the power of both in just one image within just one extension. So all you have to do is to go to Window, Extensions, and then let's open the visualizer again. First of all, let's move the image to the side, move the visualizer to the right. So we have a larger display right there. Let's click on refresh image. Let's take the color all the way up. Now, as you can see, the colors are looking very subtle. Do you know why? Have a look. Preserve skin tones is all the way to the max. We need to take it to the left so that it doesn't take the color grading away from all the areas, because there are some areas very similar to the skin tone. Let's go with the middle one. Click on plus. Interesting. Let's decrease the opacity. Let's keep the visualizer right there and decrease the opacity. 60 seems to be fine. Let's open the visualizer again. Let's click on refresh image. I like the combination of these colors, so let's click on plus. And now let's decrease the opacity. Keep it somewhere about 45. Now we have color graded. Here's the before, here's the after. We have given it a nice mood. What if you want to add some texture to it? In the same visualizer, you can click on textures to open up the infinite texture panel. Let's keep the image to the side. And I've already loaded some textures, and by the way, if you cannot see it, on the left hand side, you will see different themes: animals, backdrops, elements, lights, liquids. Let's open up lights. Now inside of that, there's one of them that I really like, and that is the crystal collection. Let's open that one. Alright, so this is already loaded, and textures very similar to that is going to show up. We already have discussed the infinite texture panel in this video. You can check it out. So if the randomness similarly is to the max, it'll show you random textures. As you begin to decrease the randomness, similar texture to the middle one is going to show up. So I'm going to take it all the way down. Let's say we like this one. Let's click on that and let's add it. Click on plus. It's going to add that texture with screen blend mode as a default. And there you go. Let's collapse this. Now we can adjust it by pressing Ctrl or Command D. You can make it larger, smaller. That's absolutely up to you. We can load it right there and have a look how beautiful this texture looks on top of it. You can combine multiple textures as well. You can open this one and maybe add some more. Let's say we want to add this one from the top. Let's click on plus. This one is added as well. So let's take it up just a bit and make it a little larger. Now you can always use masks to soften this out. So click on the mask button, take the brush, black as the foreground color, and just take it away from the sides. There you go. Now let's decrease the opacity. There you go, brilliant textures. Here's the before and here's the after with color grading and some awesome textures. Let me share with you a workflow technique. If we color grade this, and let's say you want to try different color grading options without clicking on them and then adding them and doing all of that stuff, keeping the layer properties intact, here's what to do. So let's open the visualizer again, extensions and then visualizer. You can keep it loaded up right there. Let's go to looks for the infinite looks panel. If you have the texture, it's gonna show up textures right there. You can just open that option. So first of all, let's refresh the image. Let's keep this image to the side. All right, let's refresh the image so that that image loads up. Let's say we just want to add a little contrast to it. And I like the middle one. Let's go ahead and click on add. That is added. Now change the blend mode from normal to soft light. There you go. Soft light looks interesting. And you can change the opacity to whatever you like. So for me, opacity of about 65 or 70 looks okay. Or how about if we take the opacity all the way to 100 and then double click on the right hand side of the layer and only apply it in the highlights. Let's take it away from the shadows by first of all holding the Alt key or the Option key, clicking on the slider to break it apart, take it all the way apart to gradually take it away from the shadows. I really love it. And even now, if we decrease the opacity to let's say 75, you can see lots of properties have been applied. We have changed the blend if options, we have changed the opacity, we have changed the blend mode. Now if you open the visualizer again, and now if you want to try different ones without having to click on them, here's what you can do. You can hold the Alt key or the Option key and then click on that. It immediately changes to that color grading. You cannot notice the change because lots of properties have been applied. Let's increase the opacity all the way high so that you can see the change. Let's say you want to try this one. Hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on that one to change it to that one. Let's change the blend mode so that you can notice the difference. Now it's normal. You can now see the difference. Let's say you want to try something else like this one. You can hold the Alt key or the Option key and click on that and take a look. The properties are the same. The blend if is the same. If you had changed the opacity, that would be the same too. This is a really fast way to try different color grading options. So we can reshuffle again. Let's say we want to try this one. Hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on that one to try that one. Let's take away the blend if as well. So right click on it and choose clear layer style. Now let's say we want to try on similar colors. So let's decrease the color randomness. And in here, I'm confused between these two. So I don't have to click on this one, add this one again, click on the other one, try reshuffling and all of that. Just hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on that one. That is applied. Keep holding the Alt key or the Option key, click on this one. This one is applied. So from our analysis, we like this one. Let's stop it right there. Also, there's one more important utility feature. If you want to use this LUT as a starting point and you want to look for similar LUTs and you have lost it in the suggestions, here's how to get it back. So let's go to Window, Extensions and Visualizer, and let's say we have it all the way up and we clicked on a lot of different color grading styles, but we want to see LUTs similar to this. How do we get it? Well, it's very simple. With the LUT selected, just simply click on Import Current Layer. Now that will be in the middle. Now we can simply decrease the color randomness and look at similar color grading styles around it. Let's say you want to go with this one. Hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on it to directly get that color grading. Now, as you begin to work with different LUTs, you would want to save some as well, right? And there should be a feature like that, and there is. So all you have to do is to click on the heart button. Let's say you like this one. You like the style. Click on the heart button. It adds it to the favorite. Now what you can do, you can just click on the pencil icon and rename it to whatever you want. So let's name it Warm Yellow. Now I had a lot of others saved as well. So if you want to use any of your saved LUT as a starting point, all you have to do is to just simply click on that LUT. It will load it in the middle, and then you can look for similar color grading styles. So I'm going to go to Warm Purple that I had created before. I really love this LUT. And let's say you are editing a photo and you want to add similar effect to videos as well, or maybe use other applications. Now LUT is something which is global. It can be universally applied in lots of video editing programs, photo editing software, even lots of plugins like Luminar, except LUTs. LUT is universal, you know that. So you can save this as a separate LUT file. All you have to do, once you save it in your favorites, then hold the Alt key or the Option key, and this is a great trick. Hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on it. Locate the folder where you want to save it and click on Select Folder. It will be saved right there. Now if you go to that folder, you will see that there is warmpurple.3dl. Now you can load it in any application you like, even Photoshop. So let me quickly show it to you. So even in Photoshop, even if we didn't add any of this, let's click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose Color Lookup. And then if we choose Load 3D LUT, it was 3DL file. So we're going to choose 3DL right there and choose Warm Purple, Load. And it is loaded as well. You can load it in Premiere and any color grading program you can imagine. Now using this panel doesn't mean that everything is now automatic. We still have to use our own creativity, and every color grading technique that you have learned can be applied right here as well. Here I have an example that I've already color graded using the Infinite Looks panel, and as you can see, here's the first color grading, simple one. On top of that, I've just made a very similar color grading on top of that, very similar LUT. Now on top of that, I have added 2 copies of the same LUT for double impact and only applied it in the highlights using Blend If. See that yellow tint on the highlights? One more of that. And we can add as many as we like in different areas, use masking, use Blend If, use blend modes, and just get creative with it. We don't have to be limited to just one LUT or style. Let's say you have something that you like it, but you don't like it so much, so you can always apply it with lesser opacity and stack them up together. Now let me share with you a tip. If you want to combine all of these LUTs and save it as one LUT, you can do that too. So make sure that there is a background layer. On top of that, you have lots of LUTs. You can go to File, Export, and then Color Lookup Tables. 32 medium is fine. Now you can choose the formats that you want to save it as. There is 3DL that we used just a while ago. You can also use Cube. So let's say we just want to use Cube, not any other format, and hit OK. Let's name this just Example 6. Example 6 LUT maybe. Alright, let's save it. Now the LUT is exported. Even if you turn off all of this and then click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose Color Lookup, click on Load, and then if you just load Example 6 LUT, it will give you the same result. So this is just Example 6 LUT, and this is all of it. Look, it's the same. We have successfully combined all of these LUTs into one. So do you think the Infinite Looks panel is worth it for you? Well, that's for you to decide. In my opinion, if you're into commercial retouching, this is a great program to get because it will not only save time but also help you discover the best way to color grade your image, which you might not have ever imagined. It might surprise you with choices which we would not have taken otherwise. And the best part is it creates a LUT. And a LUT is something which is universal that you can use anywhere. You can save it, use it with your other images, modify it to your tastes with this panel, and even use it in videos. You can get the Infinite Looks panel by clicking the link in the description and use the code PiXimperfect to get 25% off. I hope this video helped you and showed you something new. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.